Never been a part of that. Amen. It's another word is AAA or AAA. It is something. I've been a part of AAA, and there are times when you call AAA, and in about 20, 15 minutes, somebody's right there for you. But there have been times when I've called on AAA, and it was cold outside, and the car had broken down somewhere where I didn't know of any buses. This is before you couldn't just Uber and Lyft and everything else like that. I didn't know any cab numbers to call, and I was out there for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. It was in the middle of the highway. I couldn't just walk anywhere. There wasn't no store to go sit out inside of, and I was there. The engine wouldn't come on, couldn't turn the heat on, and I was there just waiting. But AAA, and every time I would call them, and see, I don't know if you know old school, used to be when you had to call AAA, you had to either find a pay phone or knock on somebody's door and say, can you use their phone?
Amen.
Back in the day, all right? But I was there, and I kept calling them and asking them how long it was going to take, and they said, it's busy, but someone is on the way.
Go ahead now.
I stopped by to tell you that one of the most difficult and uncomfortable things it can be is to wait for something for a long time. Yeah. Oftentimes in life, we now have technologies or things that want to stop us from waiting. Now, any of the states ever been to Starbucks before? Oh, praise the Lord. Okay, y'all, amen. Y'all look at me like I said the devil. Okay. But there's a place, you can't go there all the time. You go there with $10, you get a cup of coffee and possibly something on the side, possibly. But they have new technologies to stop you from waiting. Now you can just punch in your phone what you want, and then you can go there, because we now live in a society where we don't want to wait. The concept of time is very different. I am 35 years old. I'm in another generation. The concept of time for people younger than me is very different. It used to be when I took a picture, you took that thing down to Rite Aid or CVS, and if it wasn't busy, you got it in a week. If you paid extra, you got it in an hour. And then if you wanted somebody to see it, they had to come to your house. Then you gonna come bring the pictures over here? You came and brought the album, and you sat down and you looked at it.
Amen.
That was in my lifetime. And you got them throwaway cameras, you don't even remember some of those pictures. Be 5 and 10 years old because you couldn't take it. If you had 36 pictures, you kept clicking until you had that whole roll done. But now it's real different. Not only is a picture taken instantly, by the time you make it home, it done been on Facebook, it done been on Twitter, it done been on Instagram, it done been on CNN, it done been on NBC. Everybody done seen it instantly because our concept of time is different. Once you don't have to wait for something, it's hard to go back to waiting for it again. I'm the same way. I don't care how old or young you are. Many of you saints right now say, how in the world did I exist without a mobile telephone? I don't know how I did it. If I wanted to see what time the store closed, I couldn't call while I was on my way. How in the world did I do it? If I was outside, I had to blow the horn or ring the doorbell. How did I exist? How did I exist? Somehow we did it, though. But now, once you have something, it's real hard to go back to what it was. So we now find in the book of Genesis, the Bible declares that God placed Adam and Eve, and he placed them in a garden. And they were in the garden free from sin and free from worry. And their only job was to be in the garden and to enjoy it. And they walked and talked with God in the evening in the cool of the day. They were used to that lifestyle. Once you get used to something, you don't want to go back to it. I know the saints now say, we used to didn't have air conditioning. I got one at home and I'm not unapologetic about it. You turn the air on in the car, you don't, yes, I do need it. Once you've had something, you don't want to go back without it. Adam and Eve had it real good, but then something happened and it got messed up. They messed up something that was good. You ever had somebody just mess something up just for no reason? There's many of us have that friend or somebody around us that just don't know when to say the right thing. The officer can come and say, I was going to give you a warning. You should have gave me why you give me a warning for that? Why you even pull me over? No, I'm just going to give you a warning. You wasted my time. There's other criminals out here. I'm just going to give you a warning. You need to go back to, what's your badge number? Okay, well, I was going to give you a warning.
Wow.
But since you insisted, now I'm going to give you, now if you was in the car, you tell them, shut up, roll away, shut up. Because sometimes you can talk yourself into trouble.
Yes. Oh, yes.
There's a song that says, you talk too much. In the rap, I know y'all remember the other one, but the rap said, homeboy, you never shut up. But sometimes we can talk ourselves into a lot of trouble. We can talk ourselves into mess. If I can just take a side note, sometimes we got to know when to speak and when not to speak. You can't always say what's on your mind all of the time.
Amen.
And the truth of the matter is, we don't do it. If you ever been to court before now, just, you might have been to court. I don't want the righteous people. Just for court, just municipal court. I don't care if it was a parking ticket or something. And then just going, oh, the hand's going up slowly, but don't aim it this slow.
Make it plainer. You have to make it plainer.
But you know when you get in that court and you stand in front of that judge.
Well,
Yes, sir.
yes, sir.
No, y'all, if they give you a lecture, you just hoping they dismiss it. Yes, sir. Don't ever do that. I'm gonna dismiss it, but let me tell you this before I do. Yes, sir. What do you have to tell me? Yes, sir. No, I won't ever do it again. I promise not to. Yes, sir. Thank you. God bless you. Have a nice day. Because you know, you could say the wrong thing. Actually, I was in East Orange. I'm sorry. I'm telling you the truth. I was in East Orange. This was about, I guess it was about 7.5 years ago, and the judge was told the person, yeah, I'm going to dismiss the ticket. You don't have to pay a fine and everything else like that. And he said, well, let me just tell you this. And they said, I don't have time to listen to a lecture. And he very calmly said, since you don't have the time to listen to a lecture, hopefully you can pay this fine. I was like, wow.
All right.
That went very quickly. But sometimes it can just take a couple of words that can really change or turn things around. So we found in the book of Genesis, with Adam and with Eve, there came the serpent with some words. And because of the serpent's words, Eve began to look at things differently. Adam began to look at things differently. I stopped by to tell you a second thing is, stop trying to let other people convince you of something you have not learned for yourself. Don't let anybody convince you how bad you have it in life. If you didn't feel that bad, then you are okay with it. Stop letting other people try to convince you. I don't see anywhere where the serpent asked Eve, how long have you been living? How good do you have it? They see it in there. She just listened to the serpent's opinion. Be careful of other folks trying to give you opinions. Your boss said that to you. I wouldn't take that if I was you. Okay, well, you're not me. I'm me. That's why you don't have to take it. No, you don't have to worry. You have to be very careful listening or letting other people convince you of something else. I wouldn't trust her if I was you. I am so glad that you're not.
Amen.
Stop letting people convince you, and then if I can really take a side note, stop letting people convince you about things about other people that you haven't seen for yourself.
Yes.
If somebody got to try that hard to tell you that she's alive, she's that much alive, you'll find out on your own.
Yes.
I'll tell you the truth. If they're that much of a bad person, trust me, you will find out on your own. If they got to try that hard to convince you about somebody else. But Adam and Eve were eventually convinced. And then the way as good as they had it, things began to change because they became immediately aware of their entire situation. I've said it before, but how many people are aware of everything that's going on presently right now? There's no way. But how many people are aware of everything that's happening to you right now? Can I blow your mind? Can I tell you that every one of us is moving right now? What, Pastor? No, seriously. Every single one of us is moving. The first thing is the entire planet is rotating and going in a circle. The entire planet. All right, planet's rotating. While the planet's doing like this, the planet is also traveling around the sun. While it's turning just like that, it's traveling around the sun at millions of miles an hour. While the planet is traveling around the sun, the entire galaxy that we are in is also moving at millions of miles per hour. But why don't we feel that movement? There is a force on this planet that is holding us or keeping us here, and that force is called gravity. So even though I hear God, even though we are moving, and even though things are moving, gravity is holding us together so we don't feel it. Sometimes it's okay if you're not aware of everything that's going on. All you need to be aware of is what is holding you or keeping you together. Just like gravity, things have happened in all of our lives, and situations have come in all of our lives. But why didn't I go crazy? Why didn't I lose my mind? Because just like gravity, God has just been holding me together. I just don't feel the effects of what's going on because he has been holding me in place. And gravity is a very powerful thing, and it works very instantly. What are you talking about? Let me try it again. I'm sorry. In Jesus' name, by the power of the force of gravity has pulled this back to the ground, because gravity pulls everything back to the center. It is more powerful than anything else. That's why it says what goes up must come down.
Amen.
So what is, I know I went on a side note, I'm coming back to the main road in just a moment, but what has been holding me together, even though there's movement and things going on, it is gravity that has been holding me together. Adam and Eve were held together by God, but then they became aware of everything that was going on, and it challenged their mind. They disobeyed God, and we've all heard the account, and they were put out of the garden, and for years and years and years, here was man, here was Adam and Eve, in nothing but living in sin, and they did not have it as good as it used to be. But then God said, you can have it as good as you used to be. I'm now going to send someone for you. You know, as I get ready, I'm not going to be before you long, as I get ready to close in the presence of the Lord, I just wanted to tell you an account. I don't ride because we live in, New Jersey, and I don't go to New York that often. I don't really ride the subway that often. I just don't. I'm not a fan of the subway. I'd rather take a cab or take a bus before I take the subway. I just don't like doing it. But there have been times when I just needed to or had to ride the subway. But I used to have a very superstitious thing about me when I rode a subway or a train. I didn't tell a lot of people about it, but I felt uncomfortable the further away I was from the conductor car. I felt like if something happened and the conductor car got disconnected, I know this is crazy, I'd be stranded out there. I needed to be as close as possible to the conductor car, if not in the conductor car. And I remember one time I got on a New Jersey Transit train and it was full, and the only seat was in the last car of the train. I said, well, Lord, have mercy if the conductor car get disconnected and the other one disconnected. Lord, I'm going to be in the last car of the train. I'm closing, but Lord, what am I going to do? But as I was getting nervous and praying and talking to God in the last car of the train, I saw something that started to happen, Sister Thomas. What started to happen, that the conductor I saw rushing through the train, I didn't understand what was going on. When the conductor came and opened the door of the last car of the train, I said, what all of a sudden happened? I'm now facing this way, but I felt my body move that way. They said, well, you've got to understand that when we go this direction, this is the last car. But once we change directions, it becomes the first car. And I heard God speak just as clearly as they to me. And God says that even when you are last in line, I am the God of direction. All I've got to do is now flip the line around. So you might have been last in line, but on today, you are going to be first. first. I hear God in this room right now. It seems like everybody else is getting in front of you. Everybody else seems like they're succeeding before you. Don't worry about it. Just watch God flip. God flipped. God flipped.
All right. Thank you.
He flipped and we changed the entire direction. Here they were now. I'm closing. It's the third. Is that the fourth time I said it? Can I have the Christmas gifts to Darden? I usually do great. Thank you. But they were waiting for Jesus. Waiting for things to be better. And he finally came. But there's an important part of the gift. I don't want my mother to get too upset. I'm just going to tell a little bit of my business. I'm going to tell a little bit. You ever been cleaning up sometimes and you just find stuff that you hadn't opened in a long time? And I was cleaning up, and I said, Lord, have mercy. And I went and I said, Lord, I was looking. I said, oh my goodness, this was given to me in 2011. And it is 2016. I still used it. I needed it. I didn't have to go to the store. But it is 2016. And I said, you know what? It's the same thing with the gift that God or Christ gives to us. A gift is nice, but it is of no value if you don't
use it.
Open it before you use it. Because here's the thing. It's easy to use something once you know what it is. Somebody give you something nice, you're going to use it because you know what it is. But if you leave it in the paper, Lord have mercy. If you leave it wrapped up, and many of us don't know what Jesus really can do for us because we have not unwrapped the gift.
Amen.
He promised he can help us through anything, but we have not unwrapped the gifts. He told us to cast all our cares upon him, but we have simply not unwrapped the gift. Before I can use it, I've got to unwrap the gift. I gotta know what it is. They say ignorance is bliss. Sometimes you just have to be aware of what he can do. But then the second step is, once you unwrap the gift, you don't just start using it. What do you mean? No, you can't just start using something. You have to know what it is capable of. If I get you a brand new spoon, Linda, and then when it's snowing outside, you say, let me go get the snow. All right, hold on. Let me start shoveling. It might eventually, at some point in time, it will eventually get the job done, but that's not the most efficient use for it because you did not know. Somebody had to tell you what it can do. If somebody went back in time and just came from 15 years ago, you handed them a cell phone, what would you do? Press the button, make a call, and hang up. What else are you supposed to do? But you have no idea what it's capable of doing unless you try it. So now that I've unwrapped the gift that God gave to me, I've got to study him. I've got to learn him. Know what he can do for you. Know how he can help me. Know how he can serve me. What can God do for me? So unwrap the gift and learn what he can do. But then the next step is I've unwrapped the gift. I know that what he can do. Now I need to use him for everything he is capable of doing. Now we've all done it. We bought these fancy items. They've been in the store and they said this vacuum cleaner will clean, it will wash your rug, it will talk to you, it will sing to you, it will make your life easier as soon as you get this, or this new crock pot that you get, your food will taste like Martha Stewart made it herself. Paula Dean will be in this crock pot. We just believe what they say and we get it. Use it once. But you ever had something, I've had this happen to me, you ever had something and you had it for a long time and didn't know what it can do, and you see somebody else with the same thing you have doing all, I didn't know this could do all. Some of us say, and I'm young, but this younger folks than me got the same phone I have. Like, I thought I knew a lot. I had no idea this can do this because I did not take this time to study it. So I've got to study it, learn what he can do, use it, but don't be afraid to keep on learning.
Amen.
Instead of hating on somebody, you say God helping somebody else. God, it's something else that you can do for me. Thank you. I got to use him for that. Oh, you trusted God for that? I can trust God for that too. It's nothing wrong by using somebody else's experiences to help you.
Amen.
If you're a cook, I'm not that good of a cook. I'm going to tell you now. But if you're a cook and you taste somebody else's food and it tastes good, or you put that in yours, yeah, I ain't put that in mine because I done had this recipe for 8 years. I don't care what nobody says. It's fine. Well, let me try a little bit. A good recipe that they pass down. Those who cook will know this. A good recipe is a recipe that's been passed down and everybody adds a little bit to it. That's a good recipe.
Amen.
My grandmama did this in 1925. I'm not adding nothing to it. It's not a good recipe. Everybody takes it and adds just a little bit for themselves.
Amen.
We're closing in the presence of the Lord. Let us all stand. That's the 5th time, so God, thank you for those 2 gifts.
No problem, Pastor.
We thank God for Jesus.
Amen.
And listen, I say it all the time, but as you go through this day, and as we are, I believe, we are in the last 6 days of 2016. As we go through this year, as we go through today, I've always talked about leaving the stress and everything else like that. But can I just tell you this? I'm not one for leaving everything in the previous year. Because there's some stuff that helped me in 2016 that I need in 2017.
That's right, Pastor.
There's some things that God helped me keep me together that I need to bring with me in 2017. I know we like to talk about the end of the year, and Lord, I thank God for new begins, but I stopped by to tell you everything wasn't bad in 2016. God kept my mind, He kept my body in 2016, and I need that same keeping power in 2017. God was a healer in 16, and He's still a healer in 17.
That's right. Amen.
So as we go through the final week of the year, and listen, I know that this is the time when you sit down and make your top 10 list. All your resolutions. I know if you go to an AA meeting, you can't get in there. That
Amen.
parking lot